Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
And this is Burn Noticed, a podcast about Burn Noticed, which is a podcast about Burn Notice. It's your favorite podcast.
It's your favorite podcast.
About your other favorite podcast.
It's not that difficult. Please keep up.
Yeah.
Boy.
We got so many of those. We're doing the same bit we just said 5 seconds ago because we recorded for about 5 minutes before realizing that the microphone wasn't on.
Great. We're off to a great start. Good times.
So, let me get through what we said before.
All right.
Number 1, either today or tomorrow, October 23rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is the end of our Road Trippy Kickstarter. It's a book I co-wrote with Burn Notice co-host Chris Cherry, and also Ray Friesen is there. It's already been funded, so you're guaranteed to get whatever you pledge for. You can get a book, you can get a really cool t-shirt with a zebra on it. Just words that I have written, and Chris has written, and Ray has written, and meshed together in this wonderful tale of paper clips and gorillas and beef jerky. Go
Nice.
Look that up, unless it's over. Today, we are talking about the final episode of Burn Note. Well, not the final episode. The finale of Burn Notice.
Of season
1. Which is the finale of season 1 of Burn Notice. It's so it is complicated. I can't keep up.
It is complicated.
I don't remember if it was episode 12 or 13 or what it was. I've listened to this episode of their podcast 2.5 times.
Yeah.
No, 1.5 times.
1.5. So 2 full times.
Not really. I listened to
I'm just saying, if you listen
twice.
to it 1.5.
Yeah, I listened.
That just maps out to 2.
Not really. I listened to the whole episode and then the first half 2 more times. So I've listened to the first half 3 times. The whole thing once. Once just initially. Once to refresh myself because I thought we were going to record and then we didn't. And then once I listened to it with you. Yeah,
and that's entirely my fault because it took me a week and some days to finish listening to this podcast.
There's been 2 new episodes since then.
And I actually listened to the Q&A one.
You skipped the Treadstone one?
Yeah, sorry. I don't care about Treadstone.
I mean, I don't either, but I listened to it. Do you care about Burn Notice?
That's a good point. I just wanted to say that it's not like the fact that it took me so long to finish listening to this episode has nothing to do with the quality of this episode. It has to do with the quality of my brain, which decided to just completely shit out on me for an entire week and leaving me completely unable to start new projects or absorb new information. So keep that in mind when I do the plot recap.
Which we're doing right now. Literally one of my notes is just 3 question marks. Profit.
Please, I want you to understand that I didn't just go, I don't really want to do this. You re-listen to the podcast 3 times. I re-listen to certain sections of the podcast over and over again because I listen to them while I'm at work and I would realize oh, I did not absorb any of that. And so I would put it back to the last thing I actually remember hearing and then re-listen to it and then go, oh God, I absorbed none of that. And I did that multiple times. And at a certain point, I just kind of gave up and was it's been a week. Joe wants to know when we're going to record the podcast. There 2 new episodes have gone up. I just need to listen to it, do what I can, and do this episode now that we're doing. So that's where we're at.
And we're not, and this episode is not covering Treadstone. It's not covering the Q&A. Maybe we might touch on the Q&A a little bit since you've listened to it. We both listened to it. You haven't listened to it.
I've listened to it more recently and absorbed a lot more of it than this episode. And again, that is nothing about the quality of this episode. It is the
quality of your brain.
It's the quality of my current mental health.
And also, if I seem a little rusty, it's because I listened to it 3 times and I didn't finish it twice.
Would you like to?
Yeah, let's do the plot. Let's do it.
Let's do the plot recap. It's very little, and it also starts as a lot and gets fewer.
It tapers.
It does.
Do you have to do the paper wrinkle every time? All right, go ahead.
It's satisfying, and it makes me feel good, and so few things make me feel good.
Your hair looks good.
Thank you. It's just up in a ponytail. It's the second time you've made some comment about it.
I like it.
Nate and Mr. Burn Notice have to go save Fee, because if you remember, everything was fucked last time. Mm-hmm. Fee had to jump off a bridge, and Sam got captured, which I like.
Okay.
They save Fee by blowing up Nate's car to blow up the bad gun guys.
That sounds right, but I don't remember.
Look, we're trying. We're doing our best. We're powering through. Sam is captured and tries to get the gun guys to kill him, which I have noted down specifically because it's one of my favorite tropes. That's always a good scene to me, and I don't know why. Mm-hmm. I'm always like, yeah.
I love it when the characters just want to die.
Especially a character that's, like, really flippant, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, Sam's this character who's just sort of, like, comic relief or whatever, but also, like, he's spying on Burn Notice. Like, that's his whole deal. So it's kind of like, how loyal is this guy anyway? He's super loyal, actually. Mm-hmm. He's the best. He's a good friend.
I thought you were about to say dog. Good dog.
Good dog. There are 2 gun guy groups. There's the government is one gun guy group, and the other gun guy group are some heroin bad guys. The heroin bad guys are the one who have Sam, and Sam's trying to goad into killing him so that he can save Mr. Burn Notice's life, because that's what a real friend does, Joseph.
Okay.
That's how real friends behave. Then my notes say question mark, question mark, question mark. They save Sam. Burn Notice drives a car through the government. The end.
Through the government?
Yeah.
What do you mean, through the government?
Through a building.
No.
But he drives the truck through something.
No.
Okay. I tried very hard.
That is not what... He drives into a truck.
He drives into a truck. He drives his car into a truck?
Into the back of a semi.
Oh, I thought he, like, drove it through a building.
No. They're like, his OnStar comes on and says, you need to meet us here. And
yes.
He's on a bridge across the...
But it is the government. He's like going to the people who burned him, and he's going to get answers.
And he has to drive into that semi-truck. They have a whole talk about how they filmed it.
And I listened to it. Man, I swear to God. I listened to it with my ears.
He drives into the truck, the doors close.
So not like into it like crashing.
No, like into the... Like the back of a semi.
Into the maw, the beast.
Yes. The doors close and you're like,
would
what's
you
going
like
on
to like
here?
pick up the rest of that summary?
I mean, you got most. There wasn't a whole lot that actually happened.
Wasn't it extra long?
The finale?
Yeah.
The actual episode? No.
Oh,
it's
okay.
a normal length. I mean, it was a 2-parter, but...
Because I feel like I wrote... Like, if I got everything that happened, that's pretty bare bones what I just said.
There was a lot of filler. There was like him going through different heroin people to try to get to the heroin. There's a lot of bomb making, including sexy bomb making. Yeah, sexy bomb making. Yeah, it's a lot of filler.
That's why...
A lot of like, my family stuff. But yeah.
People I care about are being hurt. I also love that trope. I got answers to some questions.
They asked so many questions.
They asked so many questions to the point where I'm almost starting to be like, hey,
it's not the purpose of our podcast.
I'm not your research department, okay? I got my own life. I got things going on. I'm not here to just Google whatever things you're mildly curious about. But I will, because my life is a mess, and it's better than doing what else I should be doing. And anyway, that's why I've got a lot of answers about this laundry situation in the universe of Burn Notice.
Hit me with it.
As far as I've been able to tell by Googling Burn Notice and the word laundry in quotation marks, Sam is actually the first person to ever be shown doing laundry. He's drinking a beer while doing it, and he's folding laundry poorly, but he's doing his own laundry in Season 3, Episode 8.
So keep an eye out.
So keep an eye out for that laundry doing shenanigans. And then I don't have the season or the episode number for this because it just pulled up like a list of Burn Notice quotes, and it did not list what episode it was or what season it was. I don't know when this happens, but at some point, Madeline does Sam's laundry. Sam's! Not Michael's. She's doing Sam's laundry. And the only reason why it's like listed in a bunch of...
Why do all of our podcasts have
so
much to do with laundry?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I said, but like they specifically asked, like, nobody does laundry, and how does anyone do laundry? And they asked if Madeline has a laundry room in her house. She's done Sam's laundry, so she has to. But I also like searched and found the filming location of the exterior of her house at the very least, because I'm pretty sure the interior is probably not like on location. Mm-hmm. But according to the floor plans of the exterior they use for the house, it does have a laundry room. Can you pull it up? It's not even the same. It's not the exact same house, but it's like that style of house. The laundry room is off of the bathroom before you get to the garage.
Cool.
Also, that house has a dining room and a breakfast room. And I have questions about that. There's a kitchen, a dining room, and a breakfast room.
This actually doesn't look the same.
It doesn't, does it?
I'm pretty sure there's a door to the outside off of the kitchen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not the film. It's
Right.
just what they use for the exterior. But according to the floor plans of what they use for the exterior, there is a laundry room off of the breakfast room, not the kitchen and not the dining room. A completely separate room for eating, only in the morning, I guess.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's the area. Yeah, actually, this may work. This may actually check out. Yeah.
Thanks for fact-checking me.
Hi, I'm Christine. How can I help you with your houseplant questions? Question. I want to ask Christine about...
You ask Christine about Burn Notice. See what she knows. I would also like to say that multiple times people have been like, Mr. Burn Notice does not have a washer or dryer in his house. How does he do his laundry? 1, his mom does it. I just know that about what I've learned about him as a person from secondhand watching the show. 2, laundromats exist. I don't know if you guys forgot, but there's like a building you can go to that's full of washers and dryers, and you can do your clothes there.
There's so many questions. There's so many comments and questions about existence in this one.
Existence?
Laundromats exist. Nuance exists. We
don't
exist.
We don't exist.
But you do. They mention you by name.
They do.
They finally mentioned me by name.
And it was very uncomfortable, so thanks for that.
Chris mentioned me by name in the Treadstone episode, and Bri mentioned me by name in the Q&A episode. But I don't think they mostly
the beginning of the Q&A episode is very heated.
Yeah, like Bri wants to fight, and I'm down for it. Also, another question they asked: does OnStar still exist?
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I didn't do the research on that one.
Yeah, it still exists. It's still a thing. You can still get OnStar.
They can't be doing well.
Some of them are built into cars. So,
but are they like a separate company, or is it like Sirius Radio is also selling OnStar? I don't know why I pulled that one, but.
I don't know. They're just built into some cars. Like, you buy them from the lot.
And it's still somebody's job to sit there and answer, the phone for, the 5 people who have OnStar?
I mean, yes.
That's great.
OnStar. Look, OnStar.com. There's 4 dealers nearby. That's still around.
I guess you probably get it for, rich old people.
You get benefit. I mean,
who aren't going to learn how to use a phone.
You get roadside assistance and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not just you talk to a person. They wreck, they call people, and all that sort of jazz. So yes, OnStar still exists.
Are there any other questions that they posed to us?
Not that I recall or cared about. Have we broken Burn Notice?
That's my first note, yes. Because I was very concerned at the beginning of the way that this one started, where it seems like Bri is very preoccupied with Burn Notice, and our criteria, which we have since changed.
Yeah, she mentions a dynamic shift, and we don't even do that.
We don't even do that. We drop that immediately. The thing is, we're so uncommitted to our criteria. We're the shittiest teacher you ever had, who gives you a rubric and then is I don't know why I gave you that rubric. I just don't like it. Sure, it meets all the criteria, or it doesn't meet the criteria, but it was funny. So. And, she's trying to adhere to it so specifically when we're being very flippant about it.
Yeah, we've negatively influenced this podcast.
Do you think it's negative? We've definitely influenced it. That's just a fact. There are a couple of things that, are...
Your favorite podcast that influences the original podcast.
The original podcast. Oh, man. I kind of name changed one of my other favorite podcasts.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
They've changed their icon and everything. I'm so happy. I listened to this podcast called Podcast Reviews Podcast, and it's very funny, but one of their newer episodes, they posted that because podcasts and reviews both
get excluded from searches,
you can't search their thing. And so I sent them a message and I was like, you should do it with a Z and make it more extreme. And they did. They changed it, and you can find them on iTunes now.
Perfect.
So I was right.
You're an influencer.
Anyway, so I have influence on podcasts, I guess. Which specifically the thing that Bri was trying to get, by the way, multiple times in the episode, she asked if she was daddy yet.
If you have to ask.
If you have to ask, you're
not daddy.
You're not. You don't ask if you're a daddy, you just are. You establish that you're daddy.
You gotta establish the daddy dominance.
Right. It's not something that you ask for. It's not something that's given, it's something that's taken.
So, Bri, you are not the daddy.
You are not the daddy.
Always wanted to say that.
I want to talk about kidnapping.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about kidnapping.
What would be your signal?
Caw, caw.
That's a very bad signal.
Whippoorwill.
Would you die for me?
Oh, Jesus. I mean, it depends on the circumstance.
Same circumstance. Same circumstances. Burn noticed. Same circumstances.
Oh,
burn
no, I
noticed.
push you under a bus in a heartbeat.
Well, you wouldn't even... Wait, what?
Like, metaphorically. Like, I tried to, like, trade. I'd like to switch out with you.
What?
I mean, anything to keep me alive.
You wouldn't...
That's priority number... The first priority. Priority number.
You wouldn't die nobly protecting me?
That doesn't sound right.
Because of your great love and loyalty for me?
Doesn't sound right.
I'm very attracted by that idea.
Would you die for me?
I'd die for literally any reason right this second. It sounds
even give up
super
the covers
fucking
in
nice.
Bed, so
I'm asleep and cannot be judged for the things I do while not conscious. I'm asleep.
I think there's like gas leaking into our building.
I think there is. I think something bad is happening here.
I would maybe kill you. No, I mean, kill me. Kill me for you.
That's a hell of a fucking slip.
It's the gas. It's the gas.
What would you use to, like, signal to somebody? To signal to me that you are being, like, held captive against your will.
Cuckoo! Cuckoo! I'd call you Antoinette instead of Toni. If that's, like, a visual or audio thing. If it's, like, a picture, then, no idea. Here's the thing, though, like, he throws up like a gang sign sort of deal. Just like, I don't know, and it's the same thing he did in a picture. But like, what if your hands are tied up?
Well, it's also very like Adam West, like the way that they're like, that's what it means.
What if I just cross my eyes, or
I think they'd know if you crossed your eyes, just doing something with his tongue. Honestly, if I got sent like a ransom picture and you were just making a goofy face, I'd just be like, yeah. Like, oh god, he can't not make that face. Even in dire circumstances. He's just got his mouth hanging open.
What if I just look normal? So,
no, because there's two different scenarios. This isn't like you're kidnapped and you're sending me a signal to just go ahead and let me die and don't come rescue me. Right? There's that, and then there's like, you're being forced to act like everything is normal. So they're two different signals.
This is too much for me to think with all this gas.
There's no gas.
I mean, you said that I do goofy faces. There's no faces I can do.
No, there's not.
I'm fucked.
I don't know what I would do to say, like, just leave me, because I do want you to come rescue me.
Same. I mean, again, I'm probably going to try to get a trade.
Why would you not just want to be rescued?
I mean, I guess. I just don't want them to feel left out.
Oh my god, you would too. You'd be like, I'm real sorry for screwing up your plan. I could probably find you, like, somebody else.
I don't know how many people I'm putting out of jobs.
I specifically know what I would do, what I would tell you to, like, prove that I was me in, like, a copy situation. I know that for a fact.
What's that?
I won't say it. It's like giving away your security questions.
Gotcha.
But I know that. I don't know what I would do to, like, prove that I was... You know what you could do to prove that you were, like, under distress? Is you could just be like, anyway, watch the 3rd episode of this show. And I think now I'm going to go ahead and go back and watch the first one. And I'd be like, my god, what's happened?
Yeah, I don't do anything out of order.
That's how I would know that you were in some kind of secret distress.
Just skip the first season. It's not important.
If you, like, posted a vlog when that's what you said, I would call you immediately. I don't know what I could do. I don't know if there's anything...
I love comedy, says Toni.
I don't know if there's anything that defines me like that, because anytime it does, I stop doing it immediately, because I don't like to be known.
Making it hard.
I thought of yours. You think of mine.
I mean, I just said. You say you love comedy.
But I do love comedy.
You hate comedy. You don't get it. Just say binary without crying.
I physically cannot, so...
Then I don't know.
This kind of hurts my feelings, so I feel like I did yours and I nailed it.
You just said you want to be unknown.
It's true.
Maybe that's
you
your
know
thing.
me.
You're like, I would like for people to get to know me. I want to put my personal information on
the way that you know that I'm in some kind of secret distress is if I'm actually using the phone to call you at all.
Yes. If you are reaching out to another human being.
If the phone is ringing and I'm on the other side, something terrible has happened.
There you go.
Alright, that's fair. I just want to have a discussion about bad tropes that you love. Because, like, specifically, Chris points out, like, really loving when people say the thing.
Well, he didn't say the title. He said, I'm Michael Weston. I used to be a spy.
Right. When people say the thing doesn't have to be the title. It's just the thing.
Like in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend when they just quote the theme song, but in dialogue.
Yeah. And I specifically wanted to bring it up, but I already talked about it. It's like how much I love, like, when a character has been captured. Those are always my favorite episodes. Even if, like, nothing else in the episode's very good, it's still my favorite.
For some reason, I enjoy children trying to impress their shithead of a father.
Yeah. What's up with that?
I don't know.
You have, like, the second best dad of anyone I ever know. The first one's mine. And, like, everything you write is, like, people having shithead dads because you think it's really funny.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know, but it's not even just shithead dads, sometimes it's shithead moms. Like, the Andy Dick's character in The Lion King 2, just trying to impress his mom, and then he dies in a landslide trying to impress her. Gets me. Leonardo DiCaprio in The Quick and the Dead, with Gene Hackman being a dick, as his, well, potentially his dad. He still does not claim him as a kid.
I wonder what it is that those, like, specific tropes that, like, just destroy you, you know? Because, like, I have specific ones. I wonder what it says about us personally.
I don't know. If you would like to...
if you would like to psychoanalyze us.
Write in.
Would you like to talk about the idea of criticism and or casually watching stuff?
Don't do it.
Don't casually watch stuff?
I don't casually watch anything.
See, okay, here's what I feel
Except
like,
for Iron Fist, Season 1.
What about Schitt's Creek?
I don't casually watch that, I don't think.
I do?
I'm still, like, doing a critical analysis of it as we watch it.
Why?
I don't know, because I...
Like, what do you gain?
Like, this last season, I was specifically pointing out little twists and stuff that they did that I thought was interesting.
I don't know, I just remember...
They did a lot of setting up, like, certain plot lines that would normally go, like, a certain way, and then they very purposely did not go that direction with them.
When we were watching... Because Schitt's Creek is really good, first of all. But it's a fluffy show. Mm-hmm. When we were watching it, and Gina was watching it with us, and she was like...
She didn't watch the best episode, but yeah.
She didn't watch the best episode, but still, she was like, does this get any better? And, like, specifically, I think what she was asking was, like, does the show do any more? And the answer is, like, no, not really. It's like half an hour to, like, watch people growing, getting better, being friends. Yeah. And, you know, really funny.
It's funny and adorable.
That's all I need.
There's definitely growth.
Yes.
Like, if you went back and watched the first episode, they are not as nice. And I feel like that was part of what the episode she saw was about, but it was about, look how far they've come, but it was hard to see that objectively. Like, that's not a good first episode to watch.
But I do think a big part of it is just that it's like a fluffy show. There's not a lot going on to, like, critique and analyze, and you can kind of point to, like, yeah, you can look at the character growth, and you can look at the construction of the jokes and the structure of the seasons and all that stuff, but, like, it's not like the shit that she normally watches, like Atlanta or Nathan For You, where there's, like, a lot to talk about and break down. I just think there's something to be said for casual watching, and I enjoy critically engaging with stuff, obviously, but, like, we started this podcast, like, mostly as a joke, right?
Right.
Because we thought it would amuse Bri and Chris.
It's still a joke, but go on.
No, but, like, one of the things they talk about in the episode is how differently they enjoyed, like, or the show based on the fact that they were watching it specifically because they to talk about and break down later. That is part of what, like, took me so long to finish this episode specifically of the podcast, is I couldn't just sort of, like, listen to it while I was working and, like, oh shit, I tuned out. That's okay. Whatever. They're making jokes now. It's fine. I had to, like, go back because I was like, I'm gonna have to like be able to get the plot, and I'm gonna have to, like, talk about specific things they said. It's a lot harder to actively consume things. Just I think there's something to be said for, like, casually viewing of something. I think it's important to be able to critically view things, and I think it's super fun. Like, I'm definitely one of those people who, like, there's like a certain thing in Doctor Who where you're like, why is this continuity broken? It's broken because it's an old-ass show with a bunch of people writing it, and it's never going to make sense. But it is fun to sit down and be like, but how would I connect them if I needed to, you know?
Yeah.
How would I take all these completely different, like, contradicting things and then make them make sense? That is, like, a fun activity for me. That is, like, how I would spend an afternoon. I got lost in what I was saying. I would like for you to say some words now.
Technokathica.
It's not even a real word. Sometimes when I'm making my notes, I'm like, I have things to say about this. And then when I get to it and I start speaking out loud, I'm like, I don't remember what the things I had to say were.
Same.
I had a lot of thoughts about criticism and enjoying things and how easy it is to critique something when it's bad, but how, like, really nice it is to critique something when it's good. Not just critique, but, like...
Praise?
No, I mean...
Fondle?
Also specifically thinking of, I think a lot of times criticisms gets taken as that, like, that specifically negative thing. Mm-hmm. Where, like, in art class, when I used to take art classes, critique is, like, what you would do at the end. Like, you finish your piece, you put it up, and everyone critiques it. It's not, like, nitpicking, which I think a lot of people think that's what it is. It's more just sitting there and being like, hey, this is my response to this piece, and maybe you could have considered doing this. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, like...
And it could also be, like, noting the things that work.
Yeah, exactly. It's just part of, like, each part of the process of creating art. You want to hear, like, feedback from other people. And it's not that important either. Like, sometimes you hear criticism and you're like, that's an interesting take. You know, sometimes people say something and you're like, oh, yeah, I could have done that. Or sometimes they say things and you're like, oh, you don't actually, like, what you're saying is, like, wouldn't work. Or, like, you can take it or leave it.
And also, like, analyzing something critically doesn't always mean you're doing it negatively. You can analyze things critically and be negative and positive and mixed.
But I think what I was trying to say is, like, when you parody something, but parody it, like, super lovingly, like, because it's something that you get. I think a Harry Potter musical is so popular because, like, it's making fun of something in a way that, like, clearly shows how much the people who are making it love the thing. Galaxy Quest, yeah. Stuff like that I think is so good because it's, I don't know, it's a kind of love that's accepting of flaws, or it's not, like, poking fun at things just to poke fun at them. It's like, this is this thing that I absolutely adore in, like, all its glory and all its goofiness. You know, like, I've thought about it critically and analyzed it, parts of it don't hold up, or parts of it...
I mean, look at, like...
But I love it.
Look at Stephen Moffat, who wrote a parody of Doctor Who, but then went on to actually write Doctor Who.
Right.
So, like, that's because he likes Doctor Who. He gets it, and gets what's silly about it, but also what's good about it.
Well, and what's good about it sometimes...
is that it's silly.
Yeah, that's a Doctor Who hill that I'm, like, willing to die on.
Be more silly.
More things need to be more silly. More things need to be more weird. Live in the weirdness. I'm making that a thing.
That's going to be your bumper sticker.
It's a thing, and I'm stealing it. and it's something that we came up with. What are you going to do now?
Didn't we come up with it?
No.
They came up with it?
They did.
Live in the weirdness?
Live in the weirdness.
I thought that was us.
That was a thing that Chris said that I said on the podcast that I really liked.
Oh, I thought it was ours. I mean, it is ours. It is ours. Okay.
What are you going to do now?
Fight me at the Piggly Wiggly.
Fight me. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How often do you rewatch things?
Not as often as I would like. I mean, rewatching things makes me feel like,
You're not
watching something new.
I'm the same way. I almost never rewatch things. I've been wanting to rewatch Farscape just because people have been posting about it, and, like, Farscape makes me feel comfortable.
The only thing that I rewatch is if I'm rewatching it with someone who hasn't seen it. That I can do. Like, I watched True Grit like 7 times because I was watching it with different people. I've watched Buffy like 3 or 4 times with different people.
Do you reread books?
That I actually do because, like, especially if there's, like, a new thing in the series, I will reread the books up into that point. I've reread Harry Potter a handful of times, but that's mostly just because I'm like, I don't remember what happened.
I won't reread them because I will just go and get, like, a plot synopsis off the internet and be like, okay, refresh, got it. But I also haven't finished the Queen's Thief books because it came out and I was like, I don't remember what happened in all those books and I need to reread it. Or I need to at least, like, look something up. And I haven't, and it's on my bedside table. I will rewatch things to experience a specific emotion.
Yeah, I've done that with the Body episode of Buffy.
I've done it with the Body too. I've done it with the Body. I've done it with the Doctor Who episode Midnight. I would specifically rewatch that, and I would specifically rewatch the movie Phone Booth.
Weird. Okay.
To experience a specific emotion that I can't remember what it was.
Well, I own it. You want to watch it?
Like, a part of me does, yeah.
All right.
We'll watch Phone Booth tonight.
We can't watch it tonight. You got practice.
I got practice. I can't tell you, like, what it is either about that movie. I think the most important thing is that I owned it on DVD. That, like, Mom bought it at a garage sale at some point, and I was like, yeah, that makes me have that feeling, and it's here.
It's also not a very long movie, which you probably enjoy.
That is probably part of it.
I think it's under 90 minutes.
It all takes place in the phone booth.
I just love that Joel Schumacher.
I literally couldn't point to, like, any specific, like, I don't even really know what happens in it. I couldn't point to any specific thing of, like, yeah, I watched it for that scene and it made me feel this way. I don't know. I just know that I watched it a lot when I was feeling shitty for no reason. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, this will give me a reason to feel shitty, and then it'll be over and I'll be fine.
It has a very similar vibe to, there's this one episode of CSI that I really like. It was directed by Quentin Tarantino, and it's just one of the CSI guys gets buried alive and they're trying to rescue him.
I remember that.
It was good.
Oh shit, yeah.
Because it was, like, different from what they normally do. Like,
yeah.
Normally it's like, yeah, there's a crime and we gotta investigate it. That's the name of the show. But, like, this was, like, something was happening to a character on the show and they were new and interesting.
I think also, like, the idea of being
intense, too.
Trapped is so terrifying.
Yeah.
The idea of being trapped and the idea of not being in control of your own actions, scary.
But there's also, like, a puzzle aspect to it in a little bit as well. Like, you're trying to figure out how to get out of it. I like that, too.
In the episode, Chris talks about how Mr. Burn Notice takes somebody's keys and just sort of throws them out of the car. And the person in the car responds by just being like, hey, give me my keys back. And Chris is like, who responds to things that way? Listen, how you will or will not respond when somebody forcibly takes your keys, no one can truly know.
Sometimes you get in the car with them and say, hey, give me my keys
please
back.
Give me my keys back. And when they don't, you say, okay, and then get back out of the car. You can't know. Logic is not something that really factors into it. So
this part was believable.
Yeah, nothing about that seemed off or odd to me whatsoever based on my life experience.
We were carjacked, if you didn't know.
We were carjacked, and I did ask for the keys back.
I gave the keys to the carjacker.
And I was like, hey, those are mine. Give them back. It didn't go well.
It was, and let's clarify.
No, we don't have to.
You were just like, it sounds like you got in the car and was like, hey, can I have the keys? She was driving away and you jumped into the car.
And I jumped. Well, it was my car. It belonged to me, and it was leaving, and I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, but yeah, your brain doesn't work logically. Because you're not equipped to handle this situation. You're not thinking, like, it's not like, oh, I have this to fall back on, this knowledge and course of action. It's just like, what?
This is why spy tips exist.
Yeah, maybe we should have watched Burn Notice before, and then we would be better equipped.
Just because I don't want to end the podcast on this note, I also
love cheese.
Pretend to be wearing headphones sometimes. Well, I'm really wearing them. I pretend to be listening to things on headphones.
So you can listen to people have their private conversations?
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna...
Private conversations?
It's not... If I'm in the room and they're having it, they can't be that worried.
They think you're listening to music.
That's what I'm saying. They can't be that worried.
Have you learned anything?
Yeah, lots of things.
What are your secrets?
I won't share them.
What are their secrets?
I won't share them. I'm not rude, just nosy.
Honestly, they're not too worried about it. Or else they wouldn't let you overhear them.
That's true. But I still won't tell you.
Tell me one. You don't even have to use names. Use aliases to protect the innocent.
No. Have you ever seen that post that was going around Tumblr of, like, if somebody posted something that was like, I love when people say, or I'm the perfect person for people to say, like, can you keep a secret? Because 1, yes, and I love it. 2, I will forget what you say immediately. Like, I love being trusted with that knowledge. It makes me feel good and special. And also, I've already forgotten the beginning of your sentence.
Yeah, I saw something that was like, oh, don't worry, I won't tell anybody about this. I stopped listening to you 10 minutes ago.
No, but I listen. Just don't retain information.
Yeah. And this is a hard thing when you're doing a podcast.
Listen, this week has been fine, actually. Like, nothing bad is happening at all, except that my ability to function and do things has just ground to a halt for seemingly no reason, and I don't know when it's going to start again.
Question. What is the future of this podcast? Is there a future?
A good question. I mean, I know for a fact that we're going to do one more episode.
Secret bonus episode.
Secret bonus episode.
It's going to be exciting, you guys. I'm really excited about it.
I don't foresee us making more episodes.
We're not covering the Treadstone episode or the Q&A episode.
No.
I have a proposal.
Okay.
If you don't want to completely give up on this podcast.
Well, and I will say, the reason why I'm saying this is, one, you've been very overwhelmed lately. We do another podcast. We're actually, doing something every night this week. We're recording this on our lunch break. I've got skate practice tonight. We're recording something else on Wednesday, something else on Thursday.
Well, I'm actually going to a friend's house on Thursday, or she might be coming to our house. Friday, we're watching Doctor Who. Saturday, we got Halloween stuff. Sunday, we're recording another podcast.
So, with as stressed as Joe's been doing, it just doesn't make sense to keep doing
a weekly
podcast that, the whole point of this podcast was to just be, fun.
And it's not fun anymore.
It's still fun, but it's not necessarily worth the effort that you specifically have been putting into it. I mean, I listen to them, I Google some shit on my lunch break, and then I bullshit for, it was supposed to be half an hour, but it ends up being, an hour.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes so far.
The thing that I wanted to say was that, if people, really liked Burn Notice, if people tweeted, if we gave them a hashtag to be
Save BNN.
Save BNN, to know that people actually listen to it, which is, again, not necessary. It's something that we were doing mostly to amuse ourselves and Chris and Bri.
Though some people do listen.
And if you have feedback and would like the show to continue, we could probably, you have a proposal?
Well, I had a proposal of maybe not doing episode by episode, but doing a season look back.
Just checking in.
Yeah, when they finish season 2, we do an episode on their season 2.
I like that.
I mean, we'd need to restructure things a little bit because we can't do a plot by plot thing unless you do 12 episodes.
Oh God, no! I will not be doing that.
Right, but we could hit the highlights of the season, or we could still answer some questions.
Maybe not all of them. I'd be interested in doing that. I honestly like Burn Notice a lot.
I do too.
As goofy and as spur of the moment as it kind of was, that we were let's do this. I like what we ended up making.
I'll tell you what, if you give us enough money on our Patreon that we can quit our jobs, then we'll do it full time.
We'll do lots of podcasts.
We'll do tons of podcasts.
Failing that though, if there is any interest in this at all,
let us know.
Yeah, we'll keep doing it in some way. We're definitely there's no way we could keep doing it weekly unless we started really making some Patreon money or stuff at work changed, or
I would say it's either a case of we can continue doing it. We could continue doing it episode, but it would be a lot. There would be more of a delay between episodes. I don't think we can do weekly. Or we do a season retrospective, which I would honestly prefer. So that way we're not super stressing ourselves out. But if you have an alternative, or what would you like? If you have suggestions, if there's something that you would like to see us do, if you think we should do a completely different podcast for they should do something like this, let us know. Yeah. We made this whole thing just on a whim, so who knows? You could probably talk us into anything. Yeah. But yeah, goodbye. Forever? Question mark. To be continued? Is there anything else we need to say? Is that it? Honestly, I wanted to say, thank you to the people who listen to us. Thank you. Bri, Chris, others. Others? Question mark. It's been fun. Oh, shit, we didn't even rate the episode. Oh, fuck. God damn. Yeah, that is a thing we do, isn't it? 8 yogurts, the end. Would you like to... Yeah, let's do this one final time. Okay. Was it a great episode of a podcast? Did it change how you think about something? No. I was trying to think of a way that I could say that it did. I think it changed the way I think about how we're going to do this show. It was this... We listened to this episode and we said, no more. No, that's not true. That's not what happened. No, it didn't change how I think about anything. Would you say it maybe changed how you thought about how you were affecting their podcast? Yeah, I'll say that.
I think, like, the most interesting thing about Burn Notice is listening to Burn Notice and, like, listening for, like, the effect that it had on their podcast. Specifically, there are a lot of jokes and stuff on the podcast that are references to us that if you didn't listen to us wouldn't make any sense. And I have to imagine, because they have significantly more listeners than we do, that there have to be people who are like, I don't know what that was about. Which is something they talk about in this episode, is how oftentimes, like, they placed a bet on, like, their dynamic being the thing that would be, like, the selling point of the podcast, less so than the fact that it's specifically a podcast about Burn Notice, because why else do, like, a podcast about like a show that's so old that it doesn't necessarily have, like, a very large fandom, right?
Right.
Like, we're going back and redoing, like, Classic Who, but...
Who's huge.
Yes. And not to say that Burn Notice doesn't have a fandom out there, you know? We've seen on Twitter, like, the amount of people who...
It's still currently airing on television.
Right. So yeah, like, why else do it unless you're really banking on the fact that the draw is going to be, like, their dynamic, but that also means that a lot of times their humor is very self-referential and incomprehensible to people. Okay. Anyway, did it change how we think about something?
Yes.
Yes?
Did it make you cry?
No.
Yes.
It made you cry?
It made you cry. But that might just be depression.
Yeah, that's just neurotransmitters, man.
So 2 for 2 so far.
You just want to call it a great episode of a podcast because you just want to make Bri happy.
Yeah.
Does it flow? Which is a criteria you added that I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know either. Let's just switch it back to did it make you laugh? Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a great episode of a podcast.
Joe's just saying it's a great episode of a podcast because this is the last one, and he wants to go out making Bri happy because Bri is daddy.
I want to make her happy, but then I want to punch her in the face. We're fighting in the Piggly Wiggly, Bri. Bri. Bring it.
Okay.
Was it a great episode of Burn Notice? Was there dynamic? Yes, but like...
Honestly, no. It was a dynamic shift, this one, which was our original... Which is something that she asked about, if there had been a dynamic shift. And there was, in that Bri had given up a lot of her...
daddy power.
Yeah. Her daddy energy was very low.
Because she questioned it too much. Do you feel like you know what happened in the episode of Burn Notice?
No, but that is not this episode's fault. I promise. I think if it had been another time, I would have listened to it and been like, yeah.
So that's 2 no's so far. This is I don't even know what our third one is. Entertainment, the direction of the podcast? Does it flow?
I don't know. It's crossed out and crisscrossed. All right, let's just do it. Let's say this was a great episode of a podcast and not a great episode of Burn Notice.
Perfect. That's the way I wanted this to go down.
Proving definitively, once and for all, that our criteria is bullshit and means nothing, and Bri should not stress out about it.
But do stress out about the Piggly Wiggly fight.
That's really happening. And
I'm your daddy.
You're no one's daddy.
I'm her daddy.
Gross.
I'm establishing daddy dominance right here. Because she's questioning it. I'm going to fill that gap. That sounded weird and I'm not going to... Let's move on. Next. I think we're done.
That's it. That's the end of the episode. Not quite the end of the podcast.
And we have one more episode coming up, so keep an ear out for that.
Thanks for listening.